Well, earlier on today, we saw Datatec releasing results, which did manage to prove towards the upside. My colleague Tumisho sat down with the chief executive of the firm to take a look at the full-year revenue line, which managed to increase by 13%. Let's take a look at Tumisho speaking to Jens Montanana, the CEO of Datatec.
So in Westcon, we had a significant bounce back driven mainly by the recovery in North America, which is a theme across our industry. We had execution problems in North America in the last 2 years as a consequence of a major ERP system rollout, and we got on top of that about 18 months ago, so our internal execution improved significantly, and that's the main driver for the pickup in that division, Westcon. Elsewhere in the world, we are obviously affected as such a global organisation with the strength of the dollar, but essentially we've been able to grow our businesses around the world through both organic and inorganic expansion, and we've delivered this year, as I say, mainly as a consequence of improved internal execution.
Let's talk about that dollar strength, because you're not the first company that's flagged that. Big multinationals, SAB Miller just this morning was talking about the impact that it has had. Which particular markets do you think it's most likely to hit hard on, and are there no positive impacts of the stronger dollar?
Well, yes, there are. In our business, there's winners and losers. So we have a significant US business. So in times of dollar strength, the contribution from our US business goes up. And of course, then you have the other markets around the world that are synthetic dollar or dollar pegged. So you've got the Middle East, you've got Singapore, you've got Hong Kong. China, in reality, is basically synthetic dollar. The renminbi is pegged to the it's a sort of creeping peg to the dollar. So those markets, almost half of our business around the world is dollar or dollar related. So that acts as a stabilizer in a way, and if you believe that dollar strength is a consequence of the recovery in that market and imminent raising of rates, then logic would have it that you're going to continue to see stronger US performance in our mix of businesses. In Logicalis, our services business, it's slightly different. In Logicalis, we have a lot of services in other countries, South America, Europe, and in Asia, where our services are in local currency. So of course, when you translate those as a dollar reporting company, when you translate those services in those different currencies back into dollars, that can be more of a headwind. But overall, we're encouraged by the performance of last year. We're expecting to continue that trajectory of growth next year, despite the currency volatility.
So just on the topic of headwinds, in your SENS announcement you also talk about import restrictions in Argentina. Just how significant is that?
It's been a bit of a headwind. We've also seen it in the last few months in Angola. In these markets, the petro economies that have suddenly been hit by plunging oil prices. Argentina has different issues. Argentina has been a restricted import regime for many years now, and we have had difficulty importing in Argentina for the last 2 years. What we did report on is that we had a significant turnaround in our business in Argentina, because we've had to transition it from capital equipment to services, and we've been able to pick up services quite significantly. But at some point in any economy, an economy can't survive without industrial capex, and that's part of in our industry, in the IT and networking industry. That's what we do.
Let's talk about what you've done during the course of the year in terms of your acquisitions and what value that's added. So in Westcon, you made that acquisition in the beginning of this year. Mm-hmm. What is this going to do to your business in terms of the value that it's meant to bring?
It's going to be quite transformational for Logicalis, our IT services business, our second largest division. We've been underweight in Germany for many years, and we've been looking for the appropriate assets to acquire and integrate. As I say, we've been subscale. We completed that transaction in January, so we only really had 2 months of it in last year's in the reported numbers, but it will be a meaningful contributor this year, and it really transforms our situation in Germany. We've always had a strong position in Germany with Westcon, our distribution supply chain business, but not in Logicalis, and so that basically fixes that, and there's some other opportunities that we're looking at in Europe and possibly North America now in Logicalis in terms of M&A going forward. But I want to stress though that the M&A activities we're looking at the moment are almost entirely around consolidation opportunities, and we're not looking to expand into new markets or new territories. We think we can improve our operating efficiencies and returns by doing more in markets that we already have a good presence.
You have managed to pay a dividend for the past 3 years, even though the environment has been challenging. Will you be able to sustain this?
We've actually been paying a dividend, this is our 11th year. While you said 3 years, our dividend's been flat for 3 years, but we've been paying a dividend for, this is our 11th year. Yes, absolutely. Our dividend has never gone down, and in years, like in the last 2 years prior to now, we had earnings contraction. We basically kept, in our business, cash generation can sometimes, you can have superior cash generation in an environment of weakness because we're a business that has a lot of current assets and working capital. So that's quite a defensive model, and that supports our dividend in times of tougher earnings. And on the way back up now, we've told shareholders to be patient, and we will move into what we've flagged as our cover ratio of 3 times or more.
So just to finish off with the outlook for the upcoming year, what can we hold you accountable for next time we speak in terms of key targets that you've put in place, and because you are in a very competitive environment and that one that is constantly changing?
I think you should watch us in the next few years, or hold us accountable for creating better operating leverage. We're in an environment where everybody a year ago was talking about global synchronized growth. In fact, the opposite has been true now, and that certainly in the last 6 to 9 months, there is no global synchronized growth. You've got the dollar strength. Even in the US, you had poor Q1 numbers, similar to Q1 of last year, and hope of recovery by the middle of the year. So we're in a period where even in large structured economies, you have volatility in macroeconomic numbers, volatility in interest rate expectations, and of course that's shown up with currency, and currency is often a lead indicator for what's going to happen. So going back to we operate in a diverse world with many levers, many assets at play, and many different business streams. We're a true multinational, so we want to be held over the cycle. We want to be viewed, held accountable, and reported on as improving our margins, ratios, and operating efficiencies.